By the beginning of 2016, everybody who lived in apartment building number 12 on Shanxi Road in the big Chinese city of Xi'an knew to stay away from the woman who lived at the end of the hall on the 15th floor. The woman, whose family name was Wu, but nobody actually knew this woman's individual name, was 43 years old and she lived alone. Nobody ever came to visit her and she almost never left her apartment. But oftentimes, residents on the 15th floor could hear this woman talking to herself. She'd even get into these big arguments with herself where it was clear she was kind of playing the role of multiple personalities at once. They avoided her because she seemed really dangerous. One day, a few months earlier, a teenage girl was walking down the hallway on the 15th floor, making her way towards her friend's apartment when she passed by this woman's apartment door. The door to this woman's apartment flew open and the woman rushed outside and began screaming incoherently. She was attacking the teenage girl and her eyes go wide and she kind of curls her hands into claws, and then she began running down the hall towards this girl. And so the girl, she runs down the hall and she manages to pound on her friend's door. They opened it up, the girl ran inside, and they shut and locked the door right as this woman came barreling into the door. Following this first attack, the woman on the 15th floor would routinely barge out of her apartment and chase down young women and teenage girls that were walking past her door. But sometime in early February, this woman's random attacks just kind of stopped. They couldn't even hear her inside of her apartment talking to herself. People became kind of worried about this woman, but nobody was willing to go knock on her door and actually make sure she was okay. Right around the time the woman on the 15th floor stopped her attacks and went silent, sometime in early February, an elevator inside of this apartment building broke down between floors 11 and 10. And so a maintenance crew was called out to fix the elevator, and then the work crew said they'd come back in about a month when they had the right supplies and people. A month later, this crew came back with what they needed, and they were able to lower the broken elevator car down to floor 10, and then they opened up the doors, and they were absolutely horrified at what they saw inside of that car. It's believed that shortly after this woman on the 15th floor had one of her outbreaks and chased someone down the hall, she got into the elevator and began traveling down. And when the elevator car got between floors 11 and 10, it came to a lurching stop. But for some reason, when this happened, the woman did nothing. She didn't yell for help, she didn't scream, she didn't pound on the doors, she just sat in the elevator car. This elevator crew had no idea there was anybody inside the elevator car because, again, this woman who was trapped in there was totally silent throughout their attempts to try to fix the car. This woman just sat in silence in this elevator car with no food and no water for several days until she died of dehydration, which is one of the most agonizing and slow ways to go. She just sat there and eventually died.